What's up, everybody? This is Brad, and it is finally time for my review of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I saw it a little while back, and I gotta say that it was not quite what I was hoping for, but it was still fun to watch. I still contend that the visuals are amazing. As far as what they did with the character designs and the action scenes and everything like that, purely on a visual level, it's great. It looks fantastic, and it always had. And like character designs, the characters have the movie's version of the characters. They have there are little tweaks and stuff, or not necessarily tweaks, but just there's added detail to them, a few small changes, but they're 99% the same as their video game counterparts. Like, I think the one where it's the most obvious is maybe Bowser, or if you look close at Bowser, he's built a little bit differently. And it's probably from where they probably took a little bit of each of the actors' personalities and tried to work some of that into the character design so that the performances would feel a little bit more, I guess, natural. Maybe, I don't know what the right word is there, but like some people said that you could see, like, when some of the faces that Bowser makes, you can see Jack Black making that face. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But in the same sense, though, the characters still look like you would expect them to look. Mario looks like Mario. Luigi looks like Luigi. Bowser looks like Bowser. I mean, everyone looks the way, they just look like more detailed versions of themselves. So, that's fine. But I don't know, but the story is any Mario game pretty much. Like, there's no real deep story here. There's barely a story, to be honest. It's a very weird movie to watch, because, like, I posted on Twitter that the movie feels like somebody took the cutscenes out of an unreleased Super Mario game, trimmed out the gameplay, and uploaded all the cutscenes as one movie, as one, video onto YouTube. You ever sat and watched through some of those before? Yeah, like, that's what this movie feels like, because there's a lot of action scenes. The action scenes are great, but the characters just do not stop to talk. They just don't. There are plenty of scenes in between the action scenes where the characters could stand to take a few minutes to talk. And you think they're going to say something important, and they kind of just move right on. And it's kind of frustrating, and I kind of don't want to jump too far around without going over it, I guess, step by step. I'll try to make this quick, though. I don't want to sit here and talk for 45 minutes, but like the intro, Bowser comes in to fight with the Penguin Army. I mean, that's handled well. I mean, nothing wrong with that. The only thing I would say is that they don't really, like, the Power Star, like the thing with stars in Mario is that they're always a power source, but you don't really know how they're going to be used. Power stars tend to be, like from Mario 64, the stars are just collectibles. You collect them all, and it helps you progress through the rest of the castle by freeing the toads from the castle walls where they're trapped. But in earlier games, the Power Stars or the Starmen would give you temporary invincibility. You will just KO all the opponents in one go. So, they don't really explain what this does until the end, and you see it. But anyway, I was fine with that. Then they clip over. Bowser's like, "Who's gonna stop me?" And then it clips over to the real world in Brooklyn. You see the Super Mario Brothers commercial on TV for their plumbing service, and it's obviously made to look like Mario and Luigi did this in their basement. You can see, like, green screen effects. One of the funnier things is if you notice the part where they've got the little yellow capes tied to them, which are probably just towels. and it looks like they're flying through the air. If you look, they're just they're laying flat on a stool. It's kind of funny. It's so funny how intentionally cheap looking they decided to do this. Uh, and that was the plumbing commercial was what they used early for like a big promotional thing, and the reveal that they had reused the Super Mario Brothers Super Show theme for this, and that was a nice little throwback to that. So that's a cute little scene, and in it they actually have Mario and Luigi do the accents, which I don't think really, it doesn't really make sense for them to do Italian accents in the commercial when they don't have those naturally. It's like you're selling yourself as a plumbing service. Why are you speaking with a fake accent? I don't really understand that. Like Mario and Luigi aren't supposed to be voice actors. What are you doing? But this leads into the first appearance from Charles Martinet in the movie. But before I go on to that, I do think that did I say that I like them? Yeah, like they do the accents for the commercial, and they sounded fairly fine to me. Like, I think they could have done the accents throughout the whole movie if they wanted Chris Pratt and, God, what's his name? Charlie Day to do them. Like, they could have done that. But I guess they just thought it would be too difficult for them. I don't know. They probably just, I'd assume that somebody thought that it would be distracting to have those accents through the whole movie. I don't agree with that. But anyway, it leads into the Charles Martinet coming in because Mario goes like, I think the commercial was good, but like, did we need the accents? Do you think that was a little bit too much or over the top? And then this character that's playing Jumpman or Donkey Kong over on the side, he turns around and goes, no, it was perfect. Woohoo! And so then they kind of just move on. And the character's name is Giuseppe, I think. And it was Charles Martinet doing the regular Mario voice. So I knew when they said that Charles was still going to be in the movie, that, like, okay, they're going to do some kind of joke where they bring up the fact that Mario's doing an accent or he doesn't have his accent or something like that. I knew there was going to be something there. My first thought was that Charles was going to be like, it was going to be like a cartoon commercial within the movie with Charles doing Mario, and then have Chris Pratt go like, I don't really sound like that, do I? Or something like that. But I actually like the way they did this here. I mean, again, it doesn't really make a lot of sense in world for them to do an accent just for their little commercial. But I'm glad that they actually had Charles like be a character. And it looks like, if I remember his design right, he looks like a construction worker, which would, let me see. I can't. He looks like a. No, he just looks like a. He just looks kind of like a regular guy. He looks like an older Mario. He looks like Mario if he was older, to be honest. But he's got the little red hat and the red overalls, which is, that's a fun, throwback to. Because remember, in the original days, back in the old day, Mario's shirt was blue and his overalls were red. That was even the case for the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. But they swapped it going into, I think it was Mario 3 is where they started using the swapped, they swapped the colors of his shirt and his overalls. But anyway, I like that. And then there's this whole segment where they're recreating like gameplay stuff. I don't think I'm gonna go through it each scene by scene because I think it's gonna take too long. I'm already looking at my time and 9 minutes in. But Charles is also the voice of Mario's dad in this, and the things that like the discussion that Mario and Luigi have, or Mario specifically with his dad, weighs on him throughout the movie. So Charles wasn't just like a background character like the Giuseppe. They let him voice not somebody who's like prominently featured within the movie, but what Mario's dad says to him plays into the lesson of the movie. Like He's like, why are you trying this, plumbing job? You're not, you seem to just, nothing seems to work for you. You're dragging your brother down with you and everything. And so his dad doesn't really have a lot of faith in him. And, that's something that you see come about in the movie. Like it's something Mario deals with through the movie, is just this idea that, Mario has a lot of self-doubt in this movie. And that's part of the things that, one of the reasons why I wish the movie had been a little bit better written, and that they could have like directly addressed some of this. Some of it is implied, but I don't know. I feel like they could have, sometimes when you're trying to tell a story, if you're trying to get like a lesson across, sometimes it just is better to just be like upfront with the big moral lesson, especially like if it's a kid's show, a kid's movie where, it's just expected that they're going to tell you what the answer is at some point. Just like in Kung Fu Panda, when the big revelation that the Dragon Scroll, if you haven't seen this, by the way, this Mario spoiler movie, I forgot to mention that there are spoilers. I'm going to talk about everything, and so this will include Kung Fu Panda. But at the end of Kung Fu Panda, when Po has proven himself to Shifu that he's ready for the Dragon Scroll, he opens it up and there's nothing. It's just a reflective piece of paper. There's nothing written on it. But then when Po talks to his dad about the secret ingredient of his secret soup or whatever it was called, what was it called? I can't remember what it was called. But the soup that Po's dad makes, it has a secret ingredient. Or it's his secret ingredient soup. I think that's exactly what they call it. Anyway, he gets Po to lean down and he's like, you want to know the secret ingredient? He said, there is none. He said, it's just plain old soup. He said, but I told everybody it was special and had this special ingredient in it, and everybody just believed it, and that made it special to them, and they therefore thought it tasted better than regular soup. He said, but there is no secret ingredient. And then that's when Po realized, and he went back to the Dragon Scroll and looked at it, and realized that the reflective paper on the inside is meant to reflect your face, to show you that, like, and when Tai Lung shows up and gets the Dragon Scroll, and he looks at it, he's like, well, where's the secret? What's the deal? They said, there's nothing written on it. He said, Po understands, and he's like, well, the Dragon Scroll tells you the truth. There is no secret ingredient to becoming a great martial artist. It's just you. It's just the thing, what makes you special, what makes the Dragon Warrior special, is just that it's you. And so therefore it kind of gives like this lesson that there is like that technically anybody could have gotten that scroll and looked at it. And no matter who it is that looks at the Dragon Scroll, it's giving them the same answer. So that could have been a good lesson there, but they don't really spend a lot of time on that. So overall, the story, I think, without spending too much, specific talk, is I'm trying to gather my thoughts correctly here. But I mean, it's a basic Mario story. Mario's fine. The voice acting for it is fine. It's not, I would say that the performances aren't like amazing. They're not, but they're not horrible either. Nobody's gonna win an award for this. And even everyone else in the movie has kind of just said like, yeah, Jack Black steals the show, and he's easily the best, performance in the movie, and he is. And I think that's just kind of expected. Like, Jack Black is willing to embrace being just as over-the-top cartoony as possible. He thrives on, silliness and wackiness. But as far as, like, I don't know, it's everyone's pretty much all right. The one thing I would say though is and thankfully Nintendo did not go like the full girl boss with Peach, but she's kind of mean. Like, there are a few times where it just feels like Peach is like needlessly mean. And I will say her personality feels more like Daisy. I've heard some people say that. She's kind of aggressive, like that daintiness that she's always had, where she's like kind of reserved. Like, I'm the pretty princess, or not necessarily pretty princess, but just like, I'm regal, I'm formal, I'm just very reserved. And that's not here. She's very much aggressive at times. And I don't know. It feels kind of wrong in a way for Peach to be that aggressive. Like one of the worst things I think she did in the movie is when like she's agreed to take Mario with her to go talk to the Kongs and get the Kong army to work for her and or to work with her to stop Bowser. Then the Toad's like, "Oh, who's this guy going with you?" And she's like, "Oh, he's nobody." And then they leave, and Mario's kind of like, "What?" But then that's never addressed. She never explains why she told the Toads that he's nobody. And it just seemed kind of mean. And luckily, she doesn't really do that a lot, but that was like the worst thing that she did, in my opinion. And of course, the other thing I have is that God, I don't want to sound like strong women bad. I don't want to do that, but like they make her very powerful in this movie. She's easily like, and they even explicitly tell you like she's stronger than Mario. So like that the thing that gets me is like, what is Mario's importance in this movie? Because like first of all, when Peach like meets him after she judo throws him at the first time that they lay eyes on her, when they meet, the very first instance of their interaction, their very first interaction, she judo throws him. Anyway, when he's like, "Hey, I gotta go save my brother," and she's like, "Okay, you can come with me," but you need to we need to see what you're made of first. And Mario has to run this classic Mario game level training thing. And he does fairly well with it after a couple of tries. He gets close to the end, but he still can't quite get it. So now it's like getting late, and Peach is trying to make Mario feel better. And she's like, "Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. Nobody gets this training course right away." And then Mario just looks at her and says, "You got it right away, didn't you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I did." Like, what's the point of making Peach like the super warrior of this universe, and then to have Mario, who's supposed to be the big hero who, saves the day, he's not even the top guy, you know? Like, for me, like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, Peach being strong is still, like, that's not bad. Like, look at Smash Brothers. Like, in, like, the subspace mode, Peach shown, like, there are several scenes of Peach where she's right there in the middle of the battlefield, completely just unbothered by the explosions around her. She's just walking around. She's got her parasol. She's got her, she's stopping to make sure that everybody gets some tea. Like, that's what I mean. She's not weak. She can fight, but she's never really, like, I don't understand what the point of making her the strongest warrior, because then what's Mario's role? I mean, that's what I'm saying. And like this is the overall big problem with the Mario movie, is that if you took Mario and Luigi out of it, the events would largely be unchanged. Because Bowser was already going to go use the Power Star. He was already invading different lands and was planning to go take the Power Star as a threat and force Peach to marry him. And Peach was already going to go talk to the Kong army before Mario dropped in. So, and if we assume that, the Kongs would have said, like, "Okay, if you want my army, you gotta fight my son," and then like, "All right, princess, fight my son, our big champion here. If you beat him, we'll help you." She probably would have beaten Donkey Kong much easier than Mario did. So it's just one of those things where I feel like they didn't really need to do that way. And like there are things I think you could have changed about this movie that would have made it better. And one of these things would like again, Peach's attitude, where she's more like Daisy, she's more like brash, and that regalness, that reservedness, that daintiness is gone. Um, they could have justified the judo throw and made it really funny by having the very first thing she did when she realized she just like threw a guy is immediately apologize to him and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Mister. Are you hurt?" And like, "No, I'm just a little bit," or something like that. And then like she can explain later to him. Like there's the scene where she lights up the fire with a bunch with which they're surrounded by fire flowers, where she could have been like, I'm sorry, judo threw. Sorry, I threw you like that. As a princess, we have to be trained in self-defense because there's always a worry that somebody might try to kidnap me or something like that. And then you could do like a joke, sort of like a fourth wall breaking joke, and be like, kidnap a princess? Who would do something like that? Or talk about how it's cliche to steal a princess, kidnap a princess. Like who would think to do something that like archaic? But that way Peach can be strong. It keeps her personality like I think Peach would have been good to have the personality of being like, I'm anti-violence. I don't like to use violence. I prefer to negotiate with people. But then have it be to where when negotiations are off the table, then you come to blows, And I still think like there's got to be a way. Like I just feel like Mario just doesn't feel important in this movie. Like he just doesn't. And I get that they want like Mario's supposed to be more like an everyman as opposed to like say Link. Link is the chosen reincarnated hero. Anytime Link is a hero in The Legend of Zelda, it's because he was born to do it. But Mario is supposed to, I think, feel more like this is just a guy. But I think that what makes him special is that he is supposed to be the Mushroom Kingdom's like top champion. So, and that's why Bowser can't just come in and just, take over. Mario makes a difference. But I think that's kind of hard to really envision when the princess herself, the one who in the games has been kidnapped for years and years and years, is now shown to be the far more dominant fighter. So they really don't need Mario. But speaking of going back to like Donkey Kong, they were trying to tell a story with Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong that Cranky is too strict with Donkey Kong and how he presents himself or something like that. And Donkey Kong likes to showboat and have fun, but Cranky seems to be like, "Hey, you're gonna be the next ruler of our people someday. You need to take this seriously." And so he's like anti-fun. Like, so that's kind of a weird thing. And they were trying to make this something that Mario and Donkey Kong could bond over, so that when they put their, initial rivalry to the, behind them and they move on and become buddies, it feels a little bit more, it makes sense. They had a common problem that they both had to deal with in having, judgmental fathers or disapproving fathers or disappointed fathers. But I feel like something else they could have done was for the Mario versus Donkey Kong fight would be to make it more like it was clearly supposed to be like a tribute to Smash Brothers, but I feel like they could have ended that fight in a way that like Mario just gets a cat power up and then just wins. Like it's like they keep pushing this idea that Mario's just overwhelmed, he can't win. Then he gets the cat power up, Donkey Kong doesn't use power ups, and then he just wins. But I feel like if they had him do something like have Cranky Kong, like have Mario start to push back on Donkey Kong, have Cranky say something like, "Oh, you're a pathetic excuse for a son," or something like that, and then Donkey Kong just gets so mad that he just starts throwing like barrels of bananas at Mario, like the original Donkey Kong game, Jesus, and maybe he just covers Mario in just bananas after hitting him with like a gigantic barrel. Maybe have it be something where like no one's ever been able to lift this barrel before because no one's been strong enough to do it from the Kongs. Like, as strong as they are, they just aren't. Like, have it be that Donkey Kong exhibits like some kind of like incredible impressive display of strength that impresses his dad. And then he turns around, everybody thinks Mario's been smashed and defeated, and Donkey Kong's like, "What do you say to that, Dad?" Or something like that, you know. Like, "Am I an embarrassment now, Dad?" But then the crowd starts looking. Mario was underneath the railing there. At the last quick second, Mario swings under and he's hanging there. Donkey Kong gets mad again and rushes him, but Mario doesn't have anywhere else to go. But in a last-ditch effort, Mario grabs a banana peel from the busted crate and throws it, and Donkey Kong slips off of it and falls in the water. Or you have Mario reach for like a hammer. Have there like be a hammer that looks kind of like the one from the Donkey Kong arcade game, and he just smashes a weak spot on the platform they're on, and Donkey Kong falls into the water. And with Donkey Kong in the having fallen from the platform, Mario wins. He outsmarted Donkey Kong. And then later, when they get swallowed up by the eel, you can have Mario say something like, or Donkey Kong brings up his dad because they're still fighting in the eel's belly, and Donkey Kong says something like, "Hey, at least you're like." Mario was like, "I can't save my brother. I wasn't able to save my brother," and then Donkey Kong's like, said, "Well, at least your family doesn't think you're a joke. Like, at least your family has your support," or something like that. Or something. He said something to the effect of that, but then he said, "My dad thinks I'm a joke." And then Mario's like, "Hey, my dad thinks I'm a joke too." But then instead of them saying like, "Really?" He goes like, "Yeah, and he's right." They only seem to, Mario and Donkey Kong bond off screen. Like, it's so bad. There's no definitive moment in the movie where Mario and Donkey Kong set their differences aside and now they're partnered up. It just happens between getting out of the eel and showing up to crash Bowser's wedding. So, I think it would have been cool to have that moment be like, because Mario's the hero here, you could have him address Donkey Kong being like, "Hey, you know what, even if your dad doesn't approve of you, all those people, all the other Kongs in the crowd reading up your, all your moves and stuff, everything you did, they were cheering your name and everything like that, because they were." And you can so it doesn't matter what your dad thinks. You can, the rest of the people loved you. That's all, be who you want to be and be with the people that support you. And then, Donkey Kong could be like, "Hey, you know what?" And then Donkey Kong could in return be like, "Hey, look, I can't say anything about what your dad was saying to you, And Mario's whole thing has been he's had self-doubt. He's like, "I couldn't even save my brother." But Donkey Kong was like, "You know what? I don't know what anybody else thinks about you or anything else, but you beat me, and I think you can beat Bowser too." And that would have been a bigger thing, because Donkey Kong was kind of like, "Yeah, you got lucky when you beat me." You could have that stay and have him be like, "I didn't lose to you, you cheated," or something like that. But then have him actually acknowledge in the wheel's belly that I keep saying wheel, the eel's belly, that Mario beat him. You were the better man. You outsmarted me. You fought better. You utilized the power-ups and your environment to your advantage, and you took me down. Good move. And then that's how they bond, and that's how they learn to respect each other. And I wanted to go back and talk about Mario's self-esteem. One of the things that Peach could have had, I think, that would have played well to her character from the games into this movie would to have her be like the don't judge a book by its cover type of character, where she's constantly telling people "Hey, just because this little short mustache guy in overalls doesn't look like a hero doesn't mean that he can't be." And that would also play into again, her being the dainty princess, but also having martial arts training. Like, even though I don't know how the Toads would teach her martial arts, as she kind of suggests that like the Toads are kind of helpless when it comes to the Koopas, but they taught her how to fight. But I got more on that too. But yeah, I think that would have been a great lesson to have Peach be constantly telling Mario like, I believe in you. I trust you. I think you can beat Bowser, but have Mario just through the whole movie be like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. You know, maybe not necessarily outwardly to her, and he can like kind of like, yeah, okay, thanks. But then just inside, he's like, no, I can't. I can't do this. I'm going to let everybody down. I'm going to let my brother down. But and as the movie progresses, and then as Donkey Kong shows him respect, he's like, you beat me. Then Mario starts gaining that confidence, and he's like, maybe I did. Maybe I can save my brother. Maybe I can beat Bowser. I beat Donkey Kong. He just told me I did. And so then they work together to get out of the eel. And so that I think that would have worked too. And then you get into like the Bowser stuff. I wish that like again, like I wish that like for some of the other characterizations, Luigi I think is largely works either way because he's cowardly and he doesn't do a whole lot in the movie anyway. But like Bowser, I wish that like Bowser's fun. He sings the funny Peaches song, that's fun. But I wish they would have kind of stressed more of Bowser's being torn between his love for Princess Peach and his desire to make her his wife, and for them to rule the Mushroom Kingdom together, and to have that genuine love for her. He's like she's beautiful, she's the best woman in the world, she's gonna be my wife, and he legitimately wants her. But then he's also torn at the same time for that power he wants to rule. And I wanted to see like, and this is maybe getting a little bit too deep for an elimination movie, but it would have been nice to see a conflict between his two interests and being like, I want to rule, but if I just come in and destroy everything and take power, Peach won't like me. But the only way Peach will agree to marry me is if I, don't be the conquering Koopa King. So what am I supposed to do? And so he uses this whole plot with the stars to be like, I'm gonna come in here, I've kidnapped all your people, or I'm gonna destroy your kingdom if you don't marry me. And then have her like again kind of go along with it and everything. But when the time comes and the plan falls apart, you can have Bowser kind of, because like I didn't like the way that Peach handles that when they start to fight back at the wedding, and Peach is like, did you really think I would marry you? And Bowser's like, kinda. And then she's like, I would never marry a monster like you. I'm like, I feel like you could have done that in a little bit more of an interesting way, since we're getting to see a lot more of the characters' personalities and everything. Like, I'm playing through Paper Mario, and in that game, I could definitely see that exchange happening. But I feel like it would have been more interesting to have her be like, no, you're hurting all my people. You're trying to enslave my people. So that I could never marry somebody who's just so cruel. But, I mean, I guess it's not that different from what she did. But I feel like she's focusing more on like I would never marry you, as opposed to like saying like, you hurt my people. I can't do that. And then Bowser realizing like now he's gonna have to choose. Do I get the woman? Do I get the woman that I love, or do I use this power star that I brought? And I would have had it been like, hey, this is gonna be my wedding gift to you. If you agree to marry me, I'll give you the power star that I got, and we'll share it as a symbol of our power as we rule over everyone. And then have him sit there and look at the star and be kind of like, do you know how much trouble it was to find this thing? Said, this was supposed to be my gift to you at our wedding. Said, but then have him be kind of like, said, all that work I went through to get this for you, and you don't appreciate it at all. And then just have him, and then at that point have him throw the star away or something like that, or act like he's about to use the star and destroy the kingdom and take over and be like, if you won't accept my love, then I'll make you accept my rage or something like that. Kind of corny, but you know, have him go to be using the power star, and then instead of Peach kicking the star away to Mario, have Mario just knock it out of his hand so that it's just off to the side. And then you have a scramble to see who can get to the star first. Between Peach, Bowser, Luigi, Donkey Kong, and Mario, and just have it constantly being kicked around because everybody's trying to get it. And then, of course, you'd ultimately end up with Mario and all that. And then it could largely end the same. So those are just some of the things I think that they could have done a little better. Maybe added a little bit more depth to the story. And then with Mario's whole self-doubt thing, you know, at the end he can give a speech about like, or when everything looks like it's been, you know, all hope has been lost. Mario stands up and he's like, and Bowser hits him with something like, how many times must I defeat you? It's like, the game's over, or this little game of ours is over. And then have Mario just say no. Said, as long as I keep getting back up and keep fighting against you, then the game's never really over. You know, tie into that whole moral lesson, you know, and use the video game talk with of game overs and everything like that. You know, it doesn't matter how many times you get game over. It doesn't matter how many times you lose. As long as you keep playing, if you keep trying, then the game has not ended. The game only ends when you quit. You know, have that be the lesson. Maybe you'll lose a few times. That's all right. You can keep trying. And I think that could have been a nice little bow. And again, they try to hint at it a little bit. But they only do it with like you don't know when to quit, Mario. And he's like, yeah, I get that a lot. Like, I don't know. It seems like he's already got that in him. So I don't feel like Mario really learned any kind of life lesson in this movie that he didn't already have, because he already kept trying. And he was pretty much determined that his plumbing business was gonna work. He's just gotta keep doing it. The only thing was the criticism from his dad, where he was just like, this is a dumb decision, Mario, or whatever. And Mario was mad and he didn't listen to him. Like, he had some doubts, but Mario pretty much came through. So he didn't really learn anything. I mean, early on, Luigi and Mario are sitting there talking to like, as long as we're together, nothing can hurt us. And they repeat that later once they get the superstar and defeat Bowser together. But I mean, that's not really a life lesson. So, I don't know. Overall, I still think, I said on Twitter that this is the safest movie ever made. There's nothing offensive in it at all. I would say there's nothing even questionable, other than maybe the characters will say, like, kill and die. Like, that's the most offensive thing in the movie that you're gonna find. And, I don't know, like, the fact that they had Jack Black in this movie and there's not even so much as a fart joke in it, that's impressive. Because you almost always expect Jack Black to kind of tiptoe up to that line of, like, you know, of always trying to get in. There's like, I almost always expect some kind of dirty joke or something whenever, or some kind of sexual humor when Jack Black's involved. Like, not long after this movie came out, they dropped a Tenacious D song called Video Games, where Jack Black is singing about how he doesn't play video games anymore except for God of War and Fallout 4 and Red Dead Redemption. And it's so violent and gory. It's a cute little cartoon, and it looks kind of like claymation, but it's not. Not really claymation, I don't know. But it's very well done. It looks very good. This little song's catchy. But considering the tide of the Mario movie, at the end, like, you'll see Jack Black in various incarnations of characters, like including Ryu, Sonic the Hedgehog, Lara Croft, Mega Man. But the very end, before the end of the song, he shows up as Mario, and he hits a power block, and a mushroom comes out, and the mushroom is a penis. So this is Jack Black. He's you almost always, I'm like, he's gotta have something in here there's gonna be some kind of dirty joke, some kind of fart joke, something, but there's nothing. So this is the safest movie ever made. It's you can if you want to see Mario fight Bowser, but you don't want to play a game, you don't want to buy your kid a Switch or something like that so they can play Mario, but you don't mind buying like the DVD or whatever, paying for the on demand to watch the Mario movie for your kid, then this is fine. I would rewatch it for the amusement. Like, I don't see this movie getting it. Like, this movie made a ton of money. So hopefully, and I'm sure after that teaser at the end, again, spoilers, they show a Yoshi egg getting ready to hatch. So there's undoubtedly several more movies already figured out. I'm sure they've got, like, there's going to be a Mario cinematic universe. There's going to be. You know it's going to happen. This whole Kong army thing in the movie anyway feels like they're setting up for Donkey Kong. But, I don't know, man. I didn't hate this movie. I don't think it's a very good movie, but I don't think it's really bad either. So much as it's just very bare bones. They didn't take any risks in this movie. There wasn't really a big, like, moral lesson to learn, really. And they didn't really push any big moral lesson other than just never give up. But I don't know. It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad Mario movie. It's not a good Mario movie. It is the Mario movie. Borrow a Roman Reigns promo from several years back there. Anyway, if you do like Mario, though, I would say check it out. It's worth checking out all the little Easter eggs and references and stuff. Those were definitely always fun to see. Like there's a our princess is actually in another castle joke. That's always funny. And again, if you're an animation fan, you'll definitely love how the movie looks. So, my opinion, go watch the movie. You're not gonna take anything major away from it. It's just a fun little movie to watch. So, what did you guys think? Did you like the movie? Did you think it was fine as it was? Did any character just seem really bad to you? Or, what do you think the sequels will do? Do you think we'll get a bunch of them? Do you think they'll branch off or branch away from Mario and go into Zelda? Zelda's one that people have wanted for a while. I know we've got Pokemon live action movies and stuff, but I don't really count those as like official Nintendo movies or anything like that. So anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments. Like and subscribe. Check out my videos if you would. And we'll be back and we'll talk about Mario stuff another day. And we'll go, hopefully we'll get the next Mario movie and they'll put a little bit more story in it this time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm out of here.